There's a story and all of that, right? So you said you're not religious, but do you believe in a higher power? Do you believe in a creator?
I really don't have an answer.
Okay. Usually the question I ask is this, is that can something come from nothing? Like absolute nothingness. No energy, no matter, no space, nothing.
Not as far as we know.
Okay, so, I like this answer kind of, okay? So 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals what? 0, right? If you multiply zeros, what would you get?
0.
0, that's what I'm saying. If you multiply nothingness, you end up with nothing. So we're saying the universe that we're living in, or the creation that we're living in, has a starting point, according to the majority of scientists today, and it cannot come from nothing. And it's not a conscious being itself, meaning it does not, you cannot create yourself, of course.
Could there have been existence eternally, forever?
Yeah, but
not that we have gone from nothing to something.
Sure.
There's always been something.
Sure. So this is usually what I would say when people bring up this point. I'll say first, there is no evidence from scientific cosmological point of view, if you want to look at it that way. And number two, I say that if you're willing to accept the eternality of something, then why not God? So this is usually what I say. Is if I'm willing to accept that something can be eternal, then why would I attribute that eternality into a living, existing thing that is not conscious, right?
Why would you attribute it?
Why would you attribute it to something that is not a living and a conscious thing, right? Rather than attributing to something that has a will that can actually initiate an action and a starting of this existence, right? Which one is more rational? So I'll say, isn't there a bit of inconsistency there? If there is no evidence that the universe is eternal, because the thing is, when you say it's eternal, what do you mean? If you mean the universe we're living in, the universe we're living in is what? It's stars, galaxies, trees, everything of these things that I mentioned has a starting and ending point. None of it is eternal. If you mean the whole of the universe, that whole of the universe is a closed system, restricted system, because it's expanding. So that closed, restricted system, who closed it and restricted it? Why does it exist rather than non-existing?
We don't know though.
Yes.
If,
we don't know what?
Before, we don't know what happened before the Big Bang. Or if the Big Bang was the beginning. That's where all the laws that we know break, right? Like we don't know, there's no explanation for what happened before that, or if that even makes sense, because that was, as far as we know, the beginning of space-time, right? But it's very difficult to talk about any point before that.
Well, the thing is this, is we don't say there is nothing physical before the Big Bang. And the reason is because they say before the Big Bang, our laws don't apply anymore. They say the equations show that our laws don't apply. If our laws don't apply, then the physical existence that we are aware of cannot exist. Therefore, whatever exists before the Big Bang is something that is beyond the laws that we refer to.
Yes.
If something exists before the Big Bang. And we say if that thing brought the Big Bang into existence, because the Big Bang cannot expand by itself, energy and matter don't come into existence by their own, which is what the Big Bang is. It's essentially energy compressed into a singularity. So energy is not a conscious thing. It cannot bring itself into existence. It requires an external entity, an external agency.
Now we don't know, right? That's some of the big mysteries. We don't know how consciousness arises, like how you put different particles together and then suddenly there's consciousness, like you and I are conscious.
No, but consciousness is different, because consciousness is related to the human being. I'm referring to material. So for example, the physical material within the Big Bang, there's no consciousness there because there's no human beings yet, right? I'm aware of the whole problem of consciousness. It's a different thing in science. But I'm saying within the Big Bang, which is just physical material things, they're not conscious, just like these rocks or whatever it is, right? So they do not initiate decisions. We're going to expand right now, or we're going to exist, we're going to start existing, right? So they would require an external agency or external things. So how?
With no idea how the laws of physics are instantiated in matter. Like that we don't know. We don't know why they are the way they are.
Okay. When you have a law,
I guess like your answer to this is there's a being that put them there this way. My answer is we don't know.
No, it's not. My answer is not there is a being that put them this way. My answer is if there is a law, it requires a lawmaker. Cannot just say there is a law and there is a set of laws that are intricate and detailed, just happen to exist in the universe, right? When you look at, also, I'm not only saying that, I'm saying that matter, which is the Big Bang, you would need an explanation for how does it come into existence, why does it exist rather than non-existent, and what restricted it. All of that by necessity require an external thing. And when you look at the detail in which the universe has expanded started from, right? The very intricate details, that if it was any other speed, the universe would not exist. If, not only that, if you look at other things within the universe, we would never even exist. You know, the idea of how, what they call fine-tuning. Fine-tuning is how fine-tuned the universe is to allow life to exist. There's books written on that, like for example, 6 numbers, etc. Multiple different books, right? So you see, you cannot bring, someone has to believe in ultimate magic to say something comes from nothing, which is the Big Bang, essentially.
What is your answer? Why the things are the way?
I say looking at the universe tells us about the maker of the universe. So we derive the attributes of the maker of the universe through using the universe. Like for example, I use this table and I say whoever made it, needed material, intelligence, knowledge of language. I say looking at the universe, you derive the attributes of God or that creator or whatever made the universe. That, okay, can you create a universe without ultimate power? No, because the universe is full of atoms. And if you split an atom, you have a nuclear explosion from the amount of energy stored in each atom. You look at the laws that I'm telling you about that requires an extensive amount. It could even comprehend the level of wisdom and knowledge that to know every small number of every detail of how the universe would expand, for example. Electrical, magnetic waves, gravitational fields, all of these different things. Has to be independent, meaning before the universe, which means the time-space continuous that we have that restricts us, or we don't know the past or the future, is not going to apply to that entity the way it applies to us. Right? So then you start deriving the attributes of what people refer to as God, essentially. So something that is existent before the universe, caused it or brought it into existence, powerful in a way we cannot comprehend, knowledgeable in a way we cannot comprehend, that is by necessity is what we refer to as God. And otherwise the universe cannot exist, because you need the attributes of something to create it.
Then that God would definitely not have the form or the shapes that the God of Christianity usually have. You know what I mean?
But we don't believe in that. So we don't believe God is an old man with a beard sitting on a chair.
Yeah.
We don't believe that. Sorry?
What type of attributes would that God?
Yeah, Allah just says in the Quran, He describes Himself in the Quran in chapter 112. And by the way, when I use the word He describes, etc., we don't believe God is also restricted by gender the way we are, right? But this is language terminology, right? So Allah says in the Quran that is uniquely one. Allah is uniquely one. Meaning He's one and He's unique in His oneness. Allah, the independent, self-sufficient, and everything depends on Him, everything requires Him, needs Him. He does not need anything or anyone, right? He neither begets nor is born, doesn't have children as some religions believe. We don't have fathers, grandfathers. It's not reproductive organs, all of this stuff, no. And there is nothing like unto Him. Meaning anything which you think about and perceive within the created existence around you cannot perceive the Creator. Allah, there's a beautiful verse in the Quran where Allah says, لا تدركه الأبصار وهو يدرك الأبصار. Vision does not encompass Him and He encompasses all vision. So essentially us in our limited kind of understanding and analysis of mind cannot fully encompass or understand the Creator in His existence. So we don't refer to Allah, as I said, as a man sitting somewhere in a chair. We understand that Allah is unlike anything that we know.